Spider-Man means a lot to me. I've admired and loved his story during my whole life. It is a story full of passion and love that gives us many deep meanings, life lessons, and emotions. This is a story of loss, grief, pain, learning, forgiveness, responsibility, doing what's right, gratitude, love, hope, and a lot of other things that transmits and teaches you a lot. Peter Parker is a person like any other. He lives in Queens, New York, in a little house with his aunt and uncle. He gets his powers after being bitten by a spider, but anyone could have been him getting those powers. After obtaining them and using them to get money for himself to get something he wants, he makes a mistake, letting a criminal get away with someone else's money just for vengeful reasons. It was because of that action that the criminal managed to escape and kill his beloved Uncle Ben. Peter could have stopped that criminal, but he was too focused on revenge on the man that didn't want to give him the money he earned and wanted that he ignored his chance to do the right thing, prevent something bad from happening and get someone justice. So it wasn't just the man with the money that got a consequence. It was also Peter that received a consequence for his bad action and not following all the life lessons his Uncle Ben has taught him, by losing him, his father figure. It was because of guilt, regret, desire to do something good, and to do what's right, as a way of grieving and because of all the life lessons that Uncle Ben has taught him, that Peter Parker now decides to be Spider-Man. Because as his Uncle Ben said at the moment of talking about what Peter did to Flash, punching him back at the time he was trying to do the same to him, and after always bullying him at school,
remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
He must not use his abilities to cause harm, and he must not let his powers go to waste and do nothing when something is wrong or could be damaging, such as the mistake he made with his Uncle Ben. But he has the responsibility to use them to help people. He realized that even if someone has not been good to him, he must help them when they are in danger, stop something bad from happening around them, or not cause them any harm back. And he also doesn't have to focus on revenge on the person who killed his loved one, as he did for a moment. He simply has to focus on protecting people and doing the right thing. He feels like he must act when things aren't going well, so he can help the people around him with the opportunity he has to do it.
Look, when you can do the things that I can, but you don't, and then the bad things happen, they happen because of you.
Peter Parker doesn't want anyone else to suffer. Now that he has the opportunity to do good and prevent people from being hurt, he feels that if he does not act, bad things can happen, and that he must do it so that people can continue living and being okay and safe. And he does not want what happened to his Uncle Ben to happen to someone else, and that he loses the opportunity to prevent something bad and do what's right again. For a time he didn't really connect that much with his family, and he failed to appreciate them. He then realized the importance of the people around him, and now he will always carry the memories and life lessons of his beloved Uncle Ben with him, and he will not let the same happen with his Aunt May. Peter Parker as Spider-Man is a self-sacrificing person, always trying to do his best to protect and help people. But he doesn't solve problems with ease. He isn't super powerful or he doesn't have a lot of resources, but he always tries his best to make the world a better place and help people, even if he struggles to do it and even if it means he will end up with bad consequences of his own. Peter Parker does not seek recognition or fame with what he does. He only wants to do good and keep people safe and well. In fact, while Peter Parker may seem like a bad friend and disappoint people around him, losing friendships and jobs, Spider-Man saves lives. He sacrifices that to do good and hides behind a mask because that way they cannot harm his relatives and close people. For instance, in the Spectacular Spider-Man series, there is an antidote that will make Peter Parker lose his powers, and he is hesitant to take it because he had just lost his job and his friends are angry with him for taking photos of the fight with Spider-Man without doing anything. When in reality, he was the one in the suit fighting Kirk Connors in his lizard form that he cannot control. But he had a camera placed somewhere to take photos because it is one of the few ways he can earn money and contribute in his home financially, which without Ben has been in financial trouble.
I
never asked to be Spider-Man. I never asked for these powers. I never knew it would mean a bashed-up hand, a hard 9 p.m. curfew, no job, and friends who all think I'm scum. It was all just a twist of fate. Bad luck, a random bug bite. Easiest decision I ever made. Except I saved him. Spider-Man's no magic wand, but thanks to the webhead, Kurt's cured, and Billy gets his father back. So what if nobody threw a parade? Spidey stays because Spidey's needed. For now, anyway.
Which leads to his work at the Daily Bugle, alongside J. Jonah Jameson. As I mentioned, this is one of the few ways that Peter can earn money and contribute to his household, which, due to Ben's departure, has been in financial trouble. Peter takes photos leaving his camera near scenes with Spider-Man to bring them to Jameson for pay, but the journalist treats Spider-Man like a criminal and sells him in that way in his newspaper. Peter has no choice but to accept that, since it is the only job there is that can help him. And, even though his boss, and thanks to his newspaper, many think that he's a criminal and that he's causing harm, Peter is still Spider-Man and doing what he believes is right, although many do not see or appreciate what he does. He has everyday problems, just like any other person would, which makes him relatable. He has serious money problems, he loses loved ones, he has bad luck, and things turn out wrong for him. But he's still the best version of himself, doing what's right and moving on. We see that he falls over and over and over again, but he always stands up to keep fighting, and he does not fall into harmful temptations. But that isn't to say that sometimes he struggles too. Like all of us, he is human, and sometimes he fails and gives up, but eventually, he always finds strength to keep going. Peter Parker goes through a lot of problems, but he never complains and just moves on. He has trouble paying his apartment rent, he gets things broken, he fails, he makes mistakes, but he is still grateful and noble as a human being, and he is still Spider-Man and loves helping people. Even without the suit, Peter Parker is a good person who cares about others, wants them to be okay, and never wants to be a bother. As we saw, he wants to contribute to his household and help Aunt May, even when he barely has any time to do his own homework. He has no time for himself and has to work on top of his time in the suit. It can even be seen that even if he does not have powers, Peter Parker still wishes to and can do good things, as we saw in Spider-Man 2, by rescuing a little girl from a fire after losing his powers. Speaking of that movie, there we see that Peter Parker gives up being Spider-Man because he wants to focus on his own life. By doing this, he begins to do better in his studies, he feels more relaxed, he has more time for himself, and he can have a better relationship with Mary Jane. But the problem is that he has the power to fight evil and help innocent lives, but he's not doing it. Even though he saved the little girl from the fire, there was another person that Peter could not save, but if Spider-Man had been there, the situation would be different. Then Aunt May says some wise words to him that Peter deeply considers, and then helps him be Spider-Man again.
I believe there's a hero in all of us that keeps us honest, gives us strength, makes us noble, and finally allows us to die with pride, even though sometimes we have to be steady and give up the thing we want the most, even our dreams.
This shows Peter that he must take the responsibility to be Spider-Man once again. Aunt May is also a fantastic person. She has a lot of heart and goodness to bring, and she conveys a lot of good to Peter, and she also stays in touch with his nephew to assure he's doing well and to help him when he needs it. In the Marvel Spider-Man game, Aunt May runs a shelter called Feast, which is responsible for helping homeless people so that they can move on and carry on with their lives better. In the game, as Peter, you visit the shelter several times, and you dedicate yourself to talking with people and helping them, and sharing with Aunt May. Even at one point in the game, Peter asks her if he can sleep on the couch in her office, because he was evicted from his apartment for not having money to pay it. Aunt May accepts it, and on top of that, in the morning she surprises him with an envelope of money for Peter. He wants to deny it at first, but then accepts the help of his aunt and says that he will repay her as soon as he can. Like his aunt tells him, Peter also has to accept that he is human, just like all of us. You don't have to be afraid to ask for or receive help either. Peter, despite everything, has never been alone. He has had Aunt May, Harry Osborn, his friend who defended him at school, Mary Jane, and Gwen Stacy. These are people that have always been there for Peter, and from whom Peter also learns to be better and to start taking care of himself as well. There are people who also give him good moments, like her neighbor in Spider-Man 2, when she gives him a cake and milk in a moment where he desperately needed something nice. Aunt May in this game also has a very nice saying that Peter always remembers.
Well, May's always told me if you help someone,
You help everyone.
This phrase gets its meaning from the actions that are generated after a good action. Peter tells an example of this to Miles as they talk about it by telling him that a person who was helped at the shelter then was able to move on and recover, and then started to help with monetary contribution as a volunteer at Feast, and the same happened with other people that got help there. This shows that when a person does a good deed for another, the other person will want to give part of themselves to help others as well. Peter Parker sacrifices himself enormously without ever asking for anything, but do not think that he does not receive anything in return for his actions. He has the support of the common people and their gratitude, as it is seen in the incredible scene of the train of Spider-Man 2, where the community help him get up and they help him keep his identity secret, because they know the danger there is if someone else sees him. And then, as he gets up, Peter can see all the people that he has saved after stopping the train due to the attack of Dr. Octopus, including children, fathers, mothers, and a baby. He has been able to save a multitude of people, getting them to continue with their lives, which is the best pay you could ask for, and he sees how they all smile at him, thank him, and support him in return. Going back to Spider-Man 2, Peter had vowed to stay away from Mary Jane if he's going to be Spider-Man to protect her, so he had to settle with her dating someone else. Mary Jane was very confused and somewhat angry with Peter, since many times he failed with things he told her he would do, such as going to her play, and she did not understand why he was being so distant with her, despite the fact that they had managed to connect deeply. Peter simply accepted that she dated someone else, because he kept thinking that he should protect Mary Jane, but he couldn't explain why he can't be with her. But, at the end of the film, Mary Jane decides to be with Peter Parker, after knowing the reason why he couldn't be with her, admiring him for who he really is, and all the sacrifices he makes, and making the decision to be together for him.
It's wrong that we should only be half alive, half of ourselves. I love you. So here I am, standing in your doorway. I've always been standing in your doorway. Isn't it about time somebody saved your life?
Peter Parker can have a happy life while he's a Spider-Man. Mary Jane chooses to be with him because of the great person he is, and because of all that he has done. Peter Parker is a good man, he deserves happiness, but he also wants to fulfill his responsibility as Spider-Man, which is a part of him, and which he also likes. He also has to learn to take care of himself, without putting aside the good things he can bring to others. He can live with both parts of his life at the same time. How it has been seen, Peter Parker is imperfect, just like all of us, which makes him relatable too. He makes mistakes, makes the wrong decisions, and has bad luck, but despite that, he always tries to solve things, keep doing what's right, be a good person and the best version of himself. All these mistakes are reflected in the hero's villains, who sometimes arise from Peter's own fault without him meaning to. He is not perfect, he makes big mistakes, but he always tries to fix them. This shows that, like everything, the things that you do and the decisions that you make have consequences, even if you think that what you're doing is fine, but but we should always try to solve it if something goes wrong, learn from it, and move on. In addition, as we see in Spider-Man 3, Peter gets carried away by an immense ego and negative thoughts, so he falls into the temptation of the symbiote, and then ends up doing hurtful things and acting selfishly. So he harms people around him, and he fails in his relationship with Mary Jane, and she gets away from him. Many times, this film is ridiculed for how Peter Parker acts, but then, after all of this, Peter realizes what he did wrong, tries to forgive himself, and apologizes to the people he affected. Lets go of the bad desire of revenge, and tries to repair what happened and do the right thing. This is also reflected in his fight against Sandman, whom Peter Parker forgives for having killed his uncle, after he explained his plight and his immense regret. We always have a choice. The choices are the ones that make us who we are. We can always choose to do what's right. It should be noted that many of the villains that Spider-Man faces are people close to Peter Parker, so that makes the battles personal as well, involving Peter Parker as a person at the same time as Spider-Man as the hero. Spider-Man does not kill. He feels that it's wrong, that he must not, and that he doesn't have to take another person's life, no matter how bad they are. Adding to this, we can see how Spider-Man tries to understand the villains and tries to help them improve and put aside their bad practices, and he uses force only if it is needed. Peter doesn't want to hurt anyone, he just wants to protect people, even from themselves. Sometimes, Peter has managed to defeat villains not with force, but with his words and good intentions, as we can see with Dr. Octopus in Spider-Man 2, by telling him the same words Aunt May taught him. He wants to give them a chance to live, to learn, and to be better. He does not dismiss them as human beings. And the villains aren't just people who decided to be bad. They are genuine people that, like Peter, go through tough times and have suffered, but instead of moving on and keep doing the right thing, they decide to act selfishly and hurt people. Because they have been hurt by the world and try to take it out on innocent people, or they're trying to meet a goal no matter what they do and who they hurt. And that's why Peter tries to let them know that there are always ways you can move forward and that the world is still worth caring for. And there's absolutely no need to hurt people to achieve a certain goal. There's always another way to do things in the right way. He sacrifices a lot. He really is a selfless person who is there for the rest, and who does not ask for anything in return, doing what he does just because it's right. And he does not get carried away by personal interest or money in exchange for something else. He follows his way when he considers that what he's doing is the right thing, not when he's going to receive something in return. In Amazing Spider-Man 2, Harry Osborn asks Spider-Man for his blood because he thinks it will cure his illness, but Peter doesn't want to do it because he thinks it could hurt him instead. Harry offers him money, anything and everything, but Spider-Man tells him that he is not interested and that he only cares about him and his well-being. He could have accepted and run the risk of hurting his friend for some money. After all, he has had money problems and at home it is needed. But he persists with his idea of doing the right thing, not caring about what he would get out of the situation. Or even, in the Marvel Spider-Man game, a scene that has stuck with me a lot is when Otto tells Peter that he will no longer be able to pay him, so it will be better for him to look for another job. Peter at this time had serious money problems. He even no longer had an apartment because he had been evicted from it for not being able to pay for it. But Peter decides to stay with Otto despite everything, because he strongly believes in him and in his project, in which he feels that he will be able to help many people around the world, so he does not think about money. Also, Spider-Man gives people hope. He gives them hope that everything will be okay, that things can improve and that they can move forward, just as he does to protect the city. It is how Aunt May mentions it to Peter in Spider-Man 2. How she sees that Spider-Man gives an example to people of how to continue to have hope and be good, and continue to keep moving forward and live in the best possible way, giving an example to Henry, May's kid neighbor. Gwen also talks about hope in her graduation speech in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which then later reminds Peter Parker himself to move on and continue being Spider-Man, after giving it up for some time.
feel hopeful on a beautiful day like today. But there will be dark days ahead of us too. There will be days where you feel all alone. And that's when hope is needed most. No matter how buried it gets, or how lost you feel, you must promise me that you will hold on to hope. Keep it alive. We have to be greater than what we suffer. My wish for you is to become hope. People need that. And even if we fail, what better way is there to live? As we look around here today at all of the people who helped make us who we are, I know it feels like we're saying goodbye, but we will carry a piece of each other into everything that we do next, to remind us of who we are and of who we're meant to be.
What we can learn from this story. This is a response from Sam Raimi, the director of the original Spider-Man trilogy, when recently asked about his films. I directed the first Spider-Man film because I was such a huge fan of Stan Lee's brilliant character. Peter Parker and Spider-Man were an important part of my teenage years. I thought it was very moving how much he sacrificed for others, how hard he worked to protect innocent people, and all the while had to take care of his Aunt May and do his homework to boot. His self-sacrifice resonated with me. He was truly a good person. We can identify with characters in a comprehensible story. Stories of heroes like Peter Parker remind us of what we're capable of. Maybe you're one of those people that like to be reminded of the good you're capable of. Now get out there and do something about it. Spider-Man shows us what we're capable of, and the good we all are capable of doing. Spider-Man inspires each one of us to be better. He inspires us to keep going when things get tough, and to always keep doing the right thing. Peter learned from his mistake at the moment of losing Uncle Ben. We can also learn from our mistakes and be better. And we can learn from Peter Parker's mistake of doing the right thing in the situations we find ourselves in. Not letting bad things happen when we can stop them, and not focusing on revenge and not causing harm to another even though the other did something to you. And even if you think that what you're doing won't have any consequences for yourself, you might still get affected by it, or you could be affecting other people around you. But let's not wait until something happens for us to consider the life lessons of our loved ones, appreciate them for what they are, and connect with them. We can learn from Peter's life and his time in the suit to always keep moving forward, no matter how difficult or bad things get, and to remain steady and always try to make things right and do the right thing. Each one of us has a responsibility to keep moving forward and to always do the right thing. And if we can do good and do good things for other people, we have a responsibility to do them so we can all continue living in the best possible way, staying safe, happy, and okay. This is what Uncle Ben says to Peter in The Amazing Spider-Man.
He believed that if you could do good things for other people, you had a moral obligation to do those things. That's what's at stake here. Not choice, responsibility.
Now, let's go back to the other incredibly memorable Uncle Ben phrase.
With great power comes great responsibility.
This phrase reflects the same as the previous one, but at the same time, I feel that it reflects the responsibility that each one of us has to use their power for good. Whether you're living as a father, mother, son, daughter, sibling, cousin, friend, boyfriend or girlfriend, boss, anyone with a lot of influence or power, or any type of person in any reality, you have a responsibility to use your position in a good way and for the good of all the people around you and all. There is even another phrase that connects and resonates a lot with me.
Sometimes, to do what's right, we have to be steady and give up the thing we want the most, even our dreams.
Peter tells this to Otto in Spider-Man 2 after hearing it from his Aunt May and applying it in his own life, where Otto must put aside his dream of his project in order to save the city and prevent hurting people. This tells us that sometimes we must put aside our personal interests in order to do the right thing. Sometimes what we want can affect other people, or there might be a desire or need of another person that we can carry out, but in which case we must give up our personal interest to do it. Or, as Peter Parker does it too, give up the money or reward that can be earned from something, and only do things when and because it is right, without looking for anything in return. And another important Spider-Man character, who recently has started to emerge more, is Miles Morales, who is an Hispanic-speaking teenager who, like Peter, was bitten by a spider, rose, moves on from difficult times, and now is Spider-Man and wants to do good and do the right thing. And at the end of the Spider-Verse movie, Miles tells us something very important.
Anyone can wear the mask. You could wear the mask. If you didn't know that before, I hope you do now.
Yes, you can fight bad guys and fight crime with superpowers, but what Miles tells us is that everyone can do good, make the right choice, keep fighting and move forward in their own reality, no matter who you are or in what situation you find yourself in. Also, Miles invites us to be yourself when we put on the mask, applying the values of the suit based on who each one is and how one is. Miles was a teenager who had a hard time connecting with his father and was full of insecurities. But as he learned, he managed to connect with his father and other people, and to also be Spider-Man and help people. We can all be a hero in our own reality, with the things we do and caring about the place around us, others and ourselves. It's how Stan Lee says it in Spider-Man 3.
You know, I guess one person can make a difference. Enough said.
Each one of us can make a difference by doing their best in this world, doing good, doing what's right and making the right choices, and making a better place for all of us. Our time is limited, so let's use it to accomplish good things and to make the world a better place, to feel fulfilled and happy. Also, when you do good and give your all to keep going, I feel like you get great inner peace, since you feel good knowing that you are trying to be the best version of yourself, have done everything possible to make things right, and that you have been able to do everything possible to solve your problems and keep moving on. But we must not punish ourselves when we make mistakes. We are all imperfect and human, and we all make mistakes. But the important thing is to try to solve it, keep going, learn from it, try to be better, and apologize and forgive yourself. Spider-Man truly means a lot to me. He inspires me to be a better person, and when I think of him, I think of how incredibly good human beings can be, despite of how imperfect we are, and how I would like to be like him. Many times, when I have to make decisions, I think about what Spider-Man has taught me, and I do it based on that to achieve a good deed. Yes, as I said, you cannot throw webs or fight crime with powers, but you can do good things for the rest. Sacrifice yourself and make certain efforts without asking for anything in return, so that people can feel and stay better, and you can always try to be the best version of yourself. Spider-Man also inspires me to keep moving forward. There might be many obstacles, bad times, or mistakes we make, but we must remain steady and move forward to overcome difficulties. We should not be distracted by harmful things. We just have to keep doing our best to be able to move on, forgive others and forgive ourselves, stay positive, not do what is wrong and keep doing what's right, and solve things in the best way. There is always a reason to keep fighting, and there's always something to appreciate. And, in the same way, Spider-Man transmits to me that you will always have the support of people around you, and that there will always be hope and some way to continue fighting, even if everything seems to be against you and you think you're alone. It's okay to ask for help, it's okay to be supported when you're not well, and it's okay to stop to express and share your emotions and feelings. This will always help you to keep moving forward. As I mentioned, I feel that all this deeply helps us to be happier, knowing that we're giving our all, we're making the best decisions possible, and we're bringing good things to the world. But it's also okay to sometimes just do what we want and relax. Each one of us deserves moments like that, and that also helps us to stay happy and okay. Even Spider-Man himself had to learn about that at some point, having to balance his life properly, and having to take care of himself and ask for help if needed. Spider-Man has been with me since I was very little, and it's incredible to think that I had connected so deeply with a story since always, and that it has been with me during my whole life. I would go as far to say that Spider-Man is a part of me. This is the true power of art, teaching you, giving you emotions, inspiring you, and having you connect with something. With all that I'm saying, I might sound pretentious, but I really feel this way. You've inspired me, you've helped me, you've taught me, you've moved me. You have changed my life. You bring me so much happiness, love, and admiration. Every time I think of Spider-Man, I get this huge emotion inside of me that I can't control. This story makes me very happy. It really fascinates me how Spider-Man acts and thinks, and inspires me in a way that I find very difficult to explain. This is a fantastic creation of art, which I believe inspires us to be better, feel better, and live better. I love you, Spider-Man. Thank you so much to all who have helped shape this great story, and to all who have worked on the various projects related to it.